of Lehigh, Zeke Jones of Arizona State, Cael Sanderson of Penn State, Brian Smith of Missouri, and Tom Ryan of Ohio State. Reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we'll bring you the microphone. The press conference is being transcribed from off-site, so please wait for the microphone and direct your questions to specific coaches. Since we do have new panelists, once again, the first time you have the microphone to ask a question, please identify yourself and your organization. We're going to start with an opening statement from each coach and then open it up for questions. Coach Santoro, if you'd like to start us off.
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for coming. I know as Lehigh, we're really excited to be here. We're really fortunate. Feel blessed to have the team we have and the coaching staff, but we're excited for a great weekend.
All right, Coach Sanderson.
Yeah, I think all the same things there, and we're happy to be here. So thank you.
All right, Coach Jones.
Excited for the opportunity to compete here, sit up at the table with some great coaches, and to have 3 days of fantastic wrestling, the best in the country, obviously the best in the world, and ready to compete.
All right, Coach Smith.
Looking forward to a great weekend. I mean, you walk around the streets and the excitement from the people in the community. Tom's been talking about this forever, so really excited about it.
All right, Coach Ryan.
Yeah, blessed to be up here in Cleveland. A lot of our student athletes were born and raised in this area. It's a great opportunity for them to compete in front of some people that have watched them in their careers for a long time. I'm excited about the team I have. We've got great leadership in Kyle Snyder, Bo Jordan, Nate Tomasello, and we're excited to get this tournament underway. It's great to be up here.
All right, we'll open up for questions. First one back there.
Brian, Matt Talk Online. Questions for Zeke Jones. You look around you, you've got coaches that have been up in this panel before. They've got coaches that have been part of the team race before. What's it mean to you as an alum of Arizona State to have yourself up here in this press conference and know that your Sun Devil squad is now back in the running for a team championship and a team trophy?
Well, thanks. I was quite shocked that I got an invitation to be here. You know, I don't know that we're in the team race necessarily. Maybe it's because we're from the West Coast and we all have suntans and we're, you know, getting ready to wrestle in an opportunity like this as a team. But it's truly a blessing to be able to come and sit up here and have an opportunity to put guys on the podium, on top of the podium. I think that it's a great statement for the West in wrestling. That has been a tremendous commitment from President Crow at Arizona State to Ray Anderson, athletic director, to the people in the community in the West that really care about this sport. And I know the guys that sit up on the panel here as coaches have been tremendous in supporting the growth of wrestling in the West. So I think it's great for Arizona State that we get to be honored and also get to sit at this table.
Mike Ben from Win Magazine. Brian Smith, this is for you. The talk is about Ohio State, Penn State, the team race, but you guys went undefeated and well at the MAC again. Have we overlooked the Tigers this year? And why could you guys be the surprise team?
Well, if you would have asked me that in the summer, I really didn't even know who my team was going to be because I had a young man coming off a complete knee reconstruction. I didn't know if he was going to make it back. I had a kid coming off of 3 major surgeries and a neck replacement, you know, a disc replacement in his neck, so I didn't even know. And if you would have seen them wrestling at that time, when I'd watch them in open mats, I'm like, we're in trouble at some of these weights, and how far they've come is a credit to my staff. I have an unbelievable staff of doctors, trainers, assistant coaches, and people that work with our program and just develop these guys. Besides the physical part, the mental part, bringing these guys back from injury and where we are right now and how far they've come, just pleased with what the staff has done. So for us to be even thought about it, we've come a long way and we're enjoying the ride, and our kids they show up and compete every time we go out.
Should we consider you a favorite though? Should we put you up as opposed to?
You guys won't, but that's all right. We've been the underdog the whole year, so we'll just keep playing that.
Got a question right here.
Mark Podolsky from the News Herald. Coach Ryan, Kyle Snyder said earlier that Ohio State should be considered the team favorite. What are your thoughts?
Kyle is sometimes you have student athletes like Cael that are on the pulse of the team as well as any coach could be on the pulse of the team. So he's around these guys a lot more than me. He feels great about this team. He's a great leader. You know, Penn State has a tremendous team this year, as does Missouri and many others here. When you look at the last competition that occurred, the Big Tens, if we can wrestle like that and our guys can compete to that level, we certainly have a shot. So I don't guarantee anything other than I believe my team is ready. I like where they are physically and mentally. They care about each other, and we're ready to wrestle. So we'll see Saturday night how this all shakes out.
Got a question right there. Got a microphone right behind you.
Yeah, this is for Coach Santoro. Pat, could you talk a little bit about this season? You guys were able to win the conference. Last night they named you Coach of the Year. You've got 10 guys here wrestling. And just, you know, what it's been like and what kind of effort it took for this opportunity to come for your team.
I think it was just a lot of hard work. You know, starting last spring, actually going into the summer, we had some setbacks during the season, some injuries. But again, as Brian said, we have a great staff. You know, medical staff, got our guys back. And this team, they wrestle for each other. They know it's bigger than just themselves. I think that's important. I think they're more excited when their teammates win than win themselves. And that's really unique with this team. I think it's something that I haven't seen in a long time. So it's been a journey. It's been a great journey, and we hope to continue it through the weekend.
Got one right here.
Hi, Andrew Spey with Flow Wrestling. Question for Coach Sanderson and Coach Ryan. With the championship being in Cleveland, you have both teams' fan bases not being far away. You can all drive here, and you guys have been the top two teams all year long, preseason going in. Had a great dual meet, had a great conference championship. Just what are you expecting, and how can we build this up and keep it going here at the NCAAs when you guys both have guys going for championships and the team races on the line?
Good. Coach Ryan, you want to start us up?
I think I got the question. So there's a lot of great teams here, right? Preseason, you look at returning All-Americans, returning national champions. The preseason poll would say that two teams seem to be a little bit better than the other teams. I think to some degree that's held. The fact that we have the team that we have, and we know we're in a serious dogfight, speaks volumes to the team that Cael has. I believe that there's a good chance that on Saturday night, the second place team will be the best second place team to ever wrestle in the national tournament, right? I mean, that's the kind of ability that some of these teams have here, Penn State being that team. So, I mean, Cael's been good for the sport. That team is a team that, you know, you can't not consider them as an, you know, everyone in life needs that individual or that group that brings them to another level. And I think that Penn State has been that recently. We were happy the way we wrestled at the Big Tens, but we want this one too.
Coach Sanderson, sure, Rick.
Yeah, I know I'm happy to be here, and we'll find out in the next 3 days if our team's happy to be here. But we have a great team of great young men that are just, you know, stand-up guys and great competitors, and they love each other, and, you know, we'll see what happens after 3 days.
Got a question right there.
Jason Skoda from mynewsmesa.com in Arizona. It's for Zeke. When they announced they're going to drop the program in 2008, you just happened to be in town as the Olympic coach, and all that kind of came down at the same time. Now you're running the program. Just to go from that, the feelings you had that day when the announcement came out to where you're at now, just can you describe what that's like?
Yeah, you know, it maybe in some ways, like winning a national title or going 0-2 at the NCAA tournament, you feel the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I think on that day, we all felt the lowest of lows, and I don't think I'm just speaking for Sun Devils, but I think for the sport of wrestling, similar to when wrestling was dropped at the Olympic Games. Our sport is about struggle, and I think that on that day we felt that struggle, and to now at the point where we're sitting at the table with the greatest programs in the nation, which is more of the highs, right? we tell our guys, be careful, don't get too low with the lows or too highs with the highs, stay steady. I think that that's what happened at Arizona State. It stayed steady. Art Mortori came along, and 3 days later the program was reinstated, so it was 72 hours in essence. But after that, it was a long progression to this place. Now, my thought is, and looking across this table, it's going to take an extraordinary effort to be great here. And, extraordinary that people have lifted cars off of people that are dying in the street, and people are underwater and jump in and save them out of the ocean and from drowning. That extraordinary effort is going to be needed this weekend to compete. And so I start to think of what your question is, which is those lows that we had felt that day to this extraordinary effort that we're going to see this weekend, and preferably from the Sun Devils. So I guess that's what I think of when I think of what you say that day, about that day.
This is Coach for Cael. Just the status of Jason Nall. Do you need him to do well, for the team to do well? And also, how much did you guys learn from last year, finish second in the Big Tens, then win the NCAAs?
Well, yeah, we obviously need Jason Nall, right? He's a returning national champion, great leader, fearless. And what did we learn? You said from losing the Big Ten. Well, it's a new day, a new tournament, right? And it's the same every year. It's simply that whoever goes out and scores the most points, right? I think I say that here every year, but that's the truth, right? It's not any more complicated than that. If our guys want to win their matches, they need to go score more points than their opponents. It's very simple.
And the status of Jason's health.
Yeah, he's ready to roll.
Got one right there.
Clayton Sauerteig, Black Shoe Diaries. Just to follow up kind of there on Nolf, he had an interview earlier this week where I think he mentioned that he felt that he could have wrestled throughout the Big Ten tournament. How do you kind of pull the reins on a guy like that and make sure that they're not pushing it too hard too quickly and re-injure themselves in the process?
Well, we have an excellent staff in our doctors and trainers and our wrestling coaches, and we felt that was in the best interest of not only, well, obviously whatever's in the best interest of Jason Nolf is in the best interest of Penn State Wrestling. And so, yeah, he very easily could have wrestled through that tournament. I thought he was getting better as the minutes and seconds went on in his matches, but we needed him this weekend, right? This is the ultimate goal, right? We want to be you can win the national championship one weekend a year, and this happens to be that weekend.
Coach Ryan, Mark Podolsky from the News Herald. How important, with the tournament here in Cleveland, 2 hours from Columbus, how important could some sort of home advantage be to winning a quarterfinal, a semifinal match, getting a bonus point here or there that could really propel you to a team title? How important is that?
Yeah, I think it can be. I believe in energy, right? I felt it in State College, what energy feels like when a crowd gets going. So we're in a great state for wrestling, we're in a great region. I think energy is real, and you can choose to feed off it or let it get to you as well. So we expect the place to be rocking with crazy, in love with the sport fans, and if it helps us, that'd be nice. Win some of these tight matches that we know we're going to be in. We're going to be in tight matches. We happened to get them last weekend, 2 weekends ago. A year ago, we happened to get them in Big Tens. It didn't quite get as many as we needed here. We're going to need to win the tight ones.
Down here.
Dan Lobdell, Flow Wrestling. This one is for Cael. Obviously, people have been hammering you with questions about Jason Nolf. One of the things throughout your career is that you guys have been able to stay healthy going into the postseason. Can you kind of compare and contrast the situation last year where you had a major injury, but you guys still won by over 30 points, and maybe anything that you learned, obviously different kids, different situations, but that you learned from handling an injury late in the season last year to this year, and how it may help you guys win again this year?
Well, regardless of where we are and how we got to this point, again, it comes back to the same idea of we've got 9 kids in the tournament that can score points, and everyone here wants to win. Everyone wants their kids to be successful, and it just comes down to who goes out and gets it done. You know, whose kids get it done. So regardless of what it took or why we're here, or injuries or no injuries, right? This isn't the who's the healthiest nationals. This is the National Wrestling Championship, and if you want to win, you got to go score the most points.
Back.
Hi, Keys, WKYC. Tom, specifically, you've got two Northeast Ohioans, Colin and Nate. What kind of opportunity is it for these guys to have a chance to win a championship in their backyard?
Right, so can you imagine, right, when they first started wrestling as second, third graders, if someone told them, hey, 12 years from now, you're going to be in the queue wrestling and hopefully leading Ohio State to a national championship. I would think that you would see the biggest smile on these little guys' faces, like, that's right, that's going to be me. Well, their opportunity is now. So now it's time to do what they've longed for. I know they're excited to be here, and so the rubber meets the road this weekend, right? You wanted this, you said you wanted it, now you have it. What are you going to do with it? So they both live really clean lives. There are a few things in life that I want more than to see Nate go out with a national championship. My life is complete, but it'll be a little more complete if he manages to win his second national championship. And if he doesn't, on my deathbed, I will say that I will probably be a little bit less satisfied with life. That's how bad that I want to see this guy end with a national champion. So they're excited. It's fortunate, really fortunate that they happen to be at an age where the tournament is held in their hometown. So kind of stars have aligned, and they're looking forward to wrestling.
Got a question down here in front.
Chris Easterling from The Independent. For Tom and all the coaches, they talk about Ohio being one of the more fertile wrestling states in terms of talent that comes out of it. What is it that makes it that way? Is it the quality? Is it the quantity? For all of you, if you could speak to what it is.
Well, I know I'd like to keep all these guys out of the state. I know that. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's great environments. I think it's parents that understand the Charlie hustle mentality. There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of great coaches. There's a lot of history. There's great tradition in a lot of the schools in this state. And the best know where the best train, and they find their way to those places. And I'm fortunate to be in a position as a coach at Ohio State in a great state like this. It certainly helps us. So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but I'm just glad we're in a great state for wrestling.
Coach Santoro, do you want to take a crack at that?
Sure. I mean, it obviously is a great state. It's got a lot of all the above: depth, quality. It's a lot like Pennsylvania in that way. But Tom, I'd like to keep you out of Pennsylvania a little bit if we could too. It is a great state for wrestling, and I think all the coaches know that. You want to recruit this state and a lot of other states.
We want to make it hard on Tom too, and just to add to that, some of Arizona State's greatest champions are from Ohio. And one will be presenting an award on Saturday. Dan St. John was a two-time national champion from Cleveland, but the guys like Marcus Malika to G.T. Taylor, the history from Ohio to the desert has been tremendous. And we appreciate you letting us come back, Tom.
Coach Smith, do you want to give an answer?
Yeah, I remember being a Florida boy going up to Michigan State. I was recruited there by Pat Malkovich, which is probably the greatest family of high school wrestling in Ohio, and learning from going to the camps and meeting old man Malkovich. And then a lot of my teammates were from the Cleveland area, and a lot of still my good friends from college are from the Cleveland area that'll be here. And just going back home with some of them and seeing the culture of the youth wrestling that I had never really witnessed in the state of Florida. It wasn't as big there. There's these other sports called football and baseball in Florida. And they had just youth wrestling was just the most amazing thing to me, how many kids were doing and the techniques they were hitting. And I just said, man, I remember it back then in college, being a freshman or sophomore, going back, watching that, going, these people are really passionate about the sport.
Coach Sanderson, you want to chime in?
Sure, why not? Ohio obviously has a great history. I was just, when everyone was talking, I'm thinking about my coach, Coach Bobby Douglas. He recruited a lot out of Ohio. My roommate, Joe Heskett, was from Ohio. He's a four-time All-American, national champion, world medalist. And one of my best friends, Zach Thompson, was from Cleveland, Ohio. He was a couple-time All-American. And we had a pretty solid kid from Ohio a couple of years ago, and David Taylor. So there's a lot of great wrestling in Ohio, some of the best high school programs in the country. So yeah, I just think it has a lot to do with the culture and tradition.
Thank you. Got one back there.
Yeah, Clayton Sartek and Black Shoe Diaries again. This is for Coach Smith. Coach, you guys have a number of highly seeded wrestlers, and one of the criticisms that has emerged since then is, yeah, well, have they wrestled the schedule, or are they proven? What would be your response to those criticisms?
You know what, I really don't listen to it, but I know we wrestled a pretty good schedule. You can talk to Oklahoma State, and you can talk to Virginia Tech and Cornell's and those schools. We'll wrestle whoever will wrestle us, so we'll ask everybody and we'll continue to wrestle everybody.
One right here.
Hi, Andrew Spade with Flow Wrestling again for Coach Santoro. You guys are coming in a pretty good position. Lehigh won their first WA championship in a while. You qualified 10 wrestlers, which is pretty rare. One of them is a returning NCAA champion. I was wondering if you could speak on what that does for expectations for this tournament and how, if at all, that's changed from earlier in the year.
Nothing's changed. We had a goal early on to get all 10 here. That was a goal accomplished. EIWA was a goal accomplished. We just want to come out. Honestly, we just want to perform at a high level. Wins and losses take care of themselves. But this is it's a fun group right now, and they're a hungry group, and I'm really excited to watch them compete.
This one's for Coach Smith. I wrestled for Coach Smith, and I was a freshman when he first got there, and well, Mizzou kind of stunk, to be honest, back in the day. But the first meeting we had, you said, we're going to be at the top. We're going to beat the Iowas and the Oklahomas and everything else. And here you are, perennial top 10, top 5 team. Why did you think that was possible?
I was a stupid young kid. I just had a vision. I was 32 and just said, what the hell? And I focused on what we had. If I would have focused on what Oklahoma State and Iowa State and the programs that I was competing with, they all had more than us, so I didn't. I focused on what we could have and started with young guys like you and said, let's start working hard. Let's start going to class. Let's do the little things we can control. And every year we got progressively better, and better kids and better recruits started to come. The program and the administration has really bought into wrestling. We are their top sports program there, without a doubt. We are their best. We've won team trophies. We're winning conference championships, and they've invested in the program. Not only just in money, they've invested in, you know, they're flying out here to watch the events. They come to our events. They believe in what we're doing. And so I think that's what it's all about. But it was a process. I had to put a picture on the wall because there was nothing else we could. You know that, Mark.
Question down.
This is a question for Pat. Pat, unlike Missouri, which did not have a pass, Lehigh did at one time, a long time ago. Do you wrestle now, trying to bring back those ghosts, those memories, and get people as excited now as they did then?
I don't know if we're trying to bring back, we're trying to kind of reinvent ourselves. The sport of wrestling has changed tremendously in the last 10 years. All these coaches can tell you. And you have to make those adjustments. In a small school, it takes a while to make those adjustments, but we have an unbelievable fan base and alumni base that has allowed this to happen. And it's been a slow progression, but it's happened. And we want to win for our fans. It's just we have an unbelievable president, unbelievable athletic director. These are the people that we're going to be wrestling for. And I think when you're doing things for other people, you can accomplish greater things.
Any other questions out there? Got one right down here.
Dan Lobdell, Flow Wrestling again. This one for Coach Jones. So, Zeke, obviously you're here coaching a bunch of guys, and you got 20, 30 kids in your room. So I don't know if you want to speak specifically on this, but your relationship with a guy like Zahid and bringing in a top-level recruit like that, having a good relationship with them. I guess what I'm trying to get at here is developing those relationships with those high-level guys and how it can get you to the level of where, you know, Penn State and Ohio State and Missouri are at right now.
I think when I was the national coach and came to Arizona State, you know, my athletic director called and said, "Are you interested in this job?" And I said, "Why would I leave? I'm coaching the best team in the world." And he said he wanted to do something similar to that. And when he said that, I knew there was a guy that lives 8 miles away named Art Mortori who also had a vision for being the best in the world. You know, of course, Cael and John Smith and Kenny Monday all wrestled for the Sunkist Kids Wrestling Club. And I knew they had the resources and the people. And it was literally when I was announced the coach. 5 minutes later, my phone rang, and it was Ruben Valencia, and he had said, "You're close to us." And yeah, from being from LA and St. John Bosco, and so that, I think, for him as a parent, said, okay, there's a program choice for us that's close to home, and being California. Zahid and Anthony committed shortly after, but we didn't have much for them. We really, you can call it a vision and a dream, or maybe I call it smoke and mirrors, but we shared with them that you could help build something here, right? That was our angle. I also call Anthony and Zahid the first believers. They were the first ones to believe that we could do something great when we had nothing. The team was 65th in the country. I'd like to see you do a little graph and flow from how, the progression of where we were, because I think they had one returning NCAA qualifier the year before. So Zahid and Anthony, who came from a program that liked to build, right? Because there was only about 5 or 6 of those Bosco kids running around, but they were all really good, right? Gade and the group. So they believed, and I think that when they believed, that gave Tanner Hall, Josh Shields, Josh Maruka, the place in their minds where they're saying, okay, we want to be a part of building something too. And once we got that ball rolling, then the ball rolled. Then we were in a place where it got easier. But Zahid is a tremendous, as we all know, a world-class athlete who's got the gift. And he's been blessed, and he's training his gift. You just can't have it, you've got to train it. And he's been a true leader in the room, outside the room, in the wrestling community, in the Arizona community, and we've been really fortunate to have that happen to us and for them to be highly successful. And it started with Zahid and Anthony being those believers.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you. I just appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks, everybody.